All right. Calling to order the WTA Board of Directors meeting for Thursday, April 16th, 2023. Vicki, start the roll.
Yes, Buchanan.
Here.
And Cotton, it looks like is absent. Hawkinson.
Here.
Cortez.
Here.
Blackbuck.
Here.
With us on the
Just waiting.
Lilliquist.
Here.
Lund.
Here.
Renstra.
Here.
And do we have Mayor Stewart online? I'm not seeing. Okay, it's absent at the moment. And Darwin.
Present.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item C, employee recognition, a 25-year service award for Cheryl, Rocky, and Jamie. Rocky what? Rocky.
Yeah. Yeah, good morning. So Cheryl has been with WTA for 25 years. She is not here, and that kind of speaks to her dedication to work. She's out there driving right now. She loves what she does. Obviously, 25 years. She's been really strong out there, serving the community. She's participated in many committees throughout her time here. Has mentored. She has over 19 years of safe driving. And I thought it was really interesting going through trying to find photos of Cheryl while she's been here. And as you see up on the slide, there's always somebody with her. And that's just who she is and kind of the culture that she's helped create here at WTA in the past 25 years and what we really look at. She's a great teammate and somebody that I really look up to. And yeah, we want to recognize her today.
Yeah, I just want to put my stamp of approval on Cheryl. She's awesome. Her heart and dedication to providing service to the community. I've cherished that. I was a driver with Cheryl for many, many years. We were regaling how her old days, we both worked with the very first female transit operator, Yvonne Lindquist. So we were talking about that and coming in at that time. There were fewer women drivers. It would have been the camaraderie between the women that work here. And you can see that picture of Cheryl, Sophia, and Linda there. We have a strong camaraderie here in the history of WTA and the culture that we have here. And Cheryl's been a part of that for a long time. So I want to acknowledge that. Share my appreciation for that and the work she's done. So thank you, Rocky. And that's it for us.
Thank you. All right, item D, public comment. Each speaker is allowed a maximum of 3 minutes on any topic relevant to WTA. We will start online. Is there anyone online who would like to unmute and address the board?
I would.
All right, go ahead.
Hi there, my name is Jocko Tenhove. I live in the Fairhaven Happy Valley zone. And I'm appreciative of this opportunity to check in with you all on a subject near and dear to me, having taken the bus now for the 9 years that I've lived here. And that is the something you may or may not have been considering around the fare increase, the scheduled fare increase. And I'm thinking you still have time to make one adjustment. Maybe if you haven't already, I'm not on the inside enough to know necessarily, but as a over 75-year-old user, I have the senior pass gold card, so free rides, which I was looking forward to and enjoy very much and use regularly. And I'm noticing that fare is going to actually, even from when I was paying half price, it's now going to double to $1 a ride with the fare increase. And I want to put in a pitch and make an appeal for the grandfathering of the grandfathers, as it were, to perhaps allow those of us that already have that gold card and the free pass over 75-year-olds to continue at that zero charge, that free ride for the rest of our, comparatively probably short lifetimes, and we will gradually disappear from the scene. So it shouldn't be that much of a financial hardship for the WTA to sort of exempt those of us that are already on the inside. So I'm hoping that you could consider that if you haven't already, and make that adjustment in the final passage of this fare increase, which otherwise I support and am very am supportive of public transportation in general, and that's why I use it. Even though I have an electric car that I could use here and there, but I prefer to take the bus, especially going downtown most times. So that's my pitch. I hope you hear that and consider it. Thank you very much.
Bert, thank you so much. Let the record reflect that Mary Lou Stewart has joined us.
And also,
Jace.
board member Cotton.
And
Oh, and Jace is here. Thank you. Is there anyone else online who would like to unmute and address the board? Please do so now. Okay, anyone in person who would like to address the board?
Me, yeah. Right, so. My name is Theodore Freeman. As you can probably tell from my outfits, public transportation has been something I've been interested in for as long as I can remember. Heck, I studied urban planning at Western Washington University, and I was the first person to attempt to cross the state of Washington using only local public transport. My studies and experience on these adventures have shown me the highs and lows of public transport in the region and beyond. And that has made me conclude that our very own Whatcom Transportation Authority punches above its weight when it comes to service and ridership, and that is a good thing. What is a big reason for this? Well, a quick gander at the meeting agenda will answer that for you all. Students, staff, and faculty at Western Washington University have been a major reason why the agency performs as well as it does. The demand from students justifies investments into service hours, vehicles, facilities, and so much more. This allows our Go Blue corridor to somehow be the most frequent transit corridor outside of Seattle when the shuttles are running, is a major reason why High Street is restricted to cars, and allows our transit improvements in the near future, also reflected in the board, to be larger in scope than they otherwise would be. This is why I'm here. I urge the board members of WTA to approve the contract extension with Western Washington University. Not doing so would make things worse for all parties. Students lose trust in the agency and won't choose to ride. WTA may cut service inside and outside of Western. Western may need to set up its own shuttle service, potentially costing hundreds of thousands of dollars while on a fiscal cliff. And the parking situation is going to go from abysmal to something I cannot say on a public record. An agreement between Western and WTA will allow WW students to make waves across Whatcom County and beyond, and allow WTA to connect more of our people to opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in person that would like to address the board? Seeing none. All right, we're going to head into closed session now. I know, I was waiting for. The board will now meet closed session for collective bargaining update as allowed by RCW 42.30.1404B. Starting time is 8:08. The board will be in closed session for approximately 10 minutes till 8:10 a.m.
The board chair would like to extend the closed session by 5 minutes, which puts us back at open session at approximately 8:25. The board chair has announced another extension to the closed session, which will put us back into open session at 8:28.
Called regular meeting back to order. Item F1, consideration of contract extension with Western Washington University. Tim.
Okay, I'll take on this item. This is the one-year agreement for September through September 2026 to September 2027. It's very similar to the agreement that we've had in place with Western. There is an increase in $100,000 coming to WTA through this one-year agreement. What I would say is we've spent a lot of time, a small team of WTA working with a team at Western to come to this agreement in support of the subcommittee members, some of whom are here today. And we've been able to work through a number of different interests and issues. And the idea here is to get through this next year with a very similar agreement and then begin working on a longer term agreement that would correspond to an upcoming vote on the revenue source for Western's agreement, and that is the active transportation fee that students pay that provides the universal bus pass for them. So we'll be working on that with Western, moving towards that vote in the future and to determine what that amount should be longer term. We hope to correspond that agreement with the term of that ATF, which is a 5-year agreement. So just looking ahead, that's how we're working. But for now, this is the 1-year agreement. We're seeking her approval for that particular agreement.
Yeah, my only kind of source of unhappiness is that there was doubt that we would get here. I mean, this was always our desired outcomes. There's no scenario that I imagine WTA wouldn't have a group Western and a student body there. And so because of that, I move approval of the 1-year contract with Western Washington University.
And I second his
Right, we have a motion and a second. Any other steps, Scott?
Yeah, I just, the history again, we talked about, I think, some in here somewhere, but it used to be significantly more. And then it dropped down. How did it go down? What was the mechanism that caused that?
Yeah, again, just to recognize it's been a long history. I had to go back and do a history research project around our agreements. We've had an agreement with Western in various forms since 2007. And during that period, there have been different ways that we've collected revenue from them. Prior to the pandemic, it was based on FTE, so an FTE count of students. And so the student body was bigger back then, right? And so up until 2019, and then it dropped in 2020 during the pandemic. At that point, we suspended the agreement, and then we brought back a new type of agreement in 2021, I think, and that was based on a per tap, because I think at that time Western was concerned about, well, we're not sure how many students can be riding. We've got a lot of remote classes, and they were concerned about overpaying for the amount of students that were going to be riding the bus. So we've slowly kind of changed since then, and I think you see that the revenue is growing, or has grown. The $600,000 revenue that we had last year, and now $700,000. So this hopefully will kind of reset everything going into the future.
I am in favor of this agreement, but what was the high on the previous?
It was about $930,000 in 2019. Maybe it's more than this, yeah.
And is there enrollment still down compared to?
The spring enrollment, I've looked at the numbers. Spring enrollment is down slightly from the last couple of years. Yeah, and it's down
pre-pandemic.
Down from 2019.
Okay. All right.
I just want to say that I appreciate all the hard work and navigating the misinformation and everything that came at you that I think didn't need to during this process. I really appreciate just the way that you guys handled all that, because it all right, any further discussion? All those in favor of approving the contract extension with Western, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes. Thank you so much. F2, consideration of MOU with City of Bellingham related to rapid transit locally preferred alternative. Tim and Hayden.
Hayden's going to take this one.
All right.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me. Hayden Richardson, Transportation and Land Use Planner here at WTA. So this is a follow-up item on our rapid transit study that the board heard at the April 2nd meeting. This was originally included in the packet materials for April 2nd, but was kind of pulled a little bit late last minute. We had to tweak some language. There were no substantive changes, but the MOU is an agreement with the City of Bellingham to really act as kind of that interim between the LPA planning document and the project list and move toward implementation. So what it does is outlines roles and responsibilities, frequency of meetings, and has a general understanding of those roles and responsibilities and kind of expectations. And so with that, staff is recommending that the board authorize the general manager to enter into that agreement. And this MOU is also going to be a part of the city council agenda packet on April 27th as well, when the locally preferred alternative is heard. So
I would move approval of the MOU.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that passes. Thank you, Nate.
thank you.
F3, consideration of resolution number 370-26, final approval of real estate purchase.
Yes. Oh, my, again,
Les and Mark and Devin.
I'll turn it over to Mark and Devin in the room if they're both there.
Yep.
Okay.
So for the last couple of meetings and discussions about this potential purchase of this property, we keep promising, we have one more checkpoint, we have one more checkpoint. This is it. This is the end. This is the end of the road. Today, what we're asking for is authority for the general manager, or for the board to give its final approval for the sale. If approved, the closing would be on May 11th. We have received all of the leases, signed leases, all the signed lease amendments. We have the rent at fair market value for everyone. We've adjusted some of the other terms so that they're appropriate for us as a landlord to take over. And if you do approve the resolution today, it means that the $50,000 deposit becomes non-refundable. Still can pull out of the deal, but you lose the $50,000. So that's where we're at from the process perspective. Everything else is lined up. And then from the lease issues and financial issues, Shonda and Devin can tell you about that.
We did a thorough round of due diligence. We did geotechnical building condition assessments. We all went through this, didn't see any big glaring red flags that we're concerned about. We feel like this is really important for the future growth of this agency. The tenants are going to continue to stay here until they live out their current lease terms. It'll be really, really good for how we access our current North Lawn property and just future 20-year program of WTA. How we interact with this space, and it'll be really good. Shonda will talk about the financial impacts through the budget amendment process, but that's all we need for approval. If there's any questions on the due diligence, we have a full summary document we can share. But yeah.
Thank you. Discussion? Motion?
I'll move approval of resolution 370-26. Second.
All right, motion and a second. Michael?
Yeah, speaking ahead at Sean's portion on finances, there's an increased budget expense. Part of that includes relocation expenses. So we're currently renewing the leases for most of the current tenants. Who was relocated, and is that an issue?
Sorry, Sean. The relocation obligation will be triggered whenever the tenants move, whether that's activated by WTA or is at the end of their term. It doesn't matter at that point in time. So right now, there are no anticipated relocation obligations, although the Northland Diesel lease has been adjusted for a term of 18 months from the closing date. So that would be coming up in about a year and a half.
So these are budgeted expenses, not yet actual.
Correct.
Thank you.
And there were no leases renewed. They were just continued and amended.
Rolled over whenever you got. Okay, thank you.
Stop.
What is the longest lease term?
There's a 5-year option. So they have 26 through 2030, and then there's a 5-year option after that.
So 9 more years.
For one of the tenants potentially.
But
it's not a mandatory. Sorry, that's
go
not a
ahead, Dan.
mandatory option. We have a say in that option.
Okay.
Okay, further discussion? All those in favor of final approval of real estate purchase, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes. Thank you so much. F4, consideration of budget amendment. Shonda.
Right, thank you.
Just to tag on that, we're asking the board to approve the proposed 2026 budget amendment to both operating expenses and capital expenses. It is about $3.1 million. And when we developed the 2026 budget, we weren't sure that we wanted to procure this property, so we didn't include anything for it. The table on page 19 shows the components of the amendment. We have some rental revenue coming in, as Michael mentioned, relocation expenses, and those are for the current owner. He, I believe, is looking at or is close to closing on a new property, so he may start moving some of his equipment out over the course of the year. So we wanted to account for that. Our due diligence, our legal, some repairs we need to do, utilities, and then the 2.8 million is really what is left for the property. So that includes closing costs. So we're looking at amendment of almost $3.1 million. That would be a direct decrease to cash if we pay all of these expenses in 2026.
All right, discussion.
I wanted to clarify with the Northland Diesel lease, it's extended. We readjusted the term to 18 months, but Northland Diesel has the right to terminate with 30 days notice. So that relocation obligation could be triggered earlier than 18 months. But that is the anticipated right now.
But it's budgeted, so yeah, it's covered. Thank you.
All right. What do you want to do?
I'll move approval of the budget amendment. Sorry.
Okay.
Not if we say.
Yeah, exactly.
Just approved it.
I'm sorry, did we get a second?
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Barry. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor of this budget amendment, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations. That passes.
Now we go back.
G1, approval of expenditure, oh, sorry. Consent agenda.
Move approval.
Second.
All right, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? All right, consent agenda passes. Thank you very much. H1 2025 unaudited financial report.
Okay, thank you. So we'll talk about the unaudited report. Well, the auditors are here right now. We expect them to be here through the end of May. Maybe they'll come out a bit earlier, and things are going really well. We aren't expecting any surprises. We ended the year in a relatively good financial position. Revenues under budget, 800,000. Most of that was the sales tax. I consider that a pretty good win out of a $50 million budget. Operating expenses came in quite a bit under budget of $5 million, 9%, 9.7%. A lot of that was salaries and benefits. The big one was outside services. We had a lot of money in the budget for outside consultants on some projects. And so those just did not move along as quickly in 2025. We'll see those expenses pick up in 2026. We ended up with a net loss from operations of $2.3 million. And like I said, a decrease in cash of 3.6. We ended the year, we started 26 with 49 million in cash and investments. 26 million of that is reserved for fleet replacements, other capital projects, and our rainy day fund. And going back to what we had talked about earlier, not all of that is available. I would draw your attention to page 35. Oh, I'm sorry, but not 35. Together, 33. So that first graph just shows the sales tax receipts. So it graphically shows what we had talked about, where we had flat sales tax for 23 through 25. The years were actual in 22 and 21 and 22. Those were our COVID. They weren't COVID money. We had a lot of sales tax receipts during the pandemic. I think primarily that was due to a lot of deliveries coming for folks, and the law had changed shortly before that, that the sales tax was paid to the jurisdiction where the deliveries were made. But we're seeing the flat sales tax, again, no indicators of why that would change right now. And then page 35 just shows the cash and designated reserves. And you can see the large jump in 22. Those were COVID, as COVID relief funds started coming in. And that we've been steadily dropping off as we've been spending cash and those relief funds dried up. This will look different in 2026 and 27, right? As we draw down that 5307 money. But we are putting that directly away for fleet reimbursements. So it's really an in and out affect our operating cash. Questions?
Questions?
Like it now, right?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
H2 annual safety report. Yeah,
Good morning.
good morning.
I'm Jeff Benson. I'm the Safety and Risk Director here at WTA. I'm going to go over some statistics from last year, safety information. We did not do quite as well as we did the previous year, but we've got some room for opportunity in some areas. So go ahead and get started. Next slide, please. So can't really see the top of it.
That was not our fault.
That was not our fault. You're right. This was a non-preventable accident where a guy ran a red light, hit our bus and pushed us into the High Notes Corner grocery store, causing a lot of damage. In my 11 years being here, this is the most property damage of an accident that I've seen. So, but we don't charge our drivers, but we determine our accidents based on preventability. So the National Safety Council says that an accident in which the operator failed to do everything reasonable to prevent it classifies as a preventable accident. Okay, so we have drivers that spent 10 weeks in training. They're professional drivers. They drive a big vehicle, 25,000 miles a year. We have a little bit higher expectations for our drivers when they're out driving around in the community. So everything we'll be talking about today is in relation to preventability, not at fault. So two different things. Next slide, please. And I hate to do this at 9 in the morning to everybody, but I'm blaming the federal government for this. This is the 14 categories that we're required to track via our Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan. So it's the top half of this slide is our performance targets, which we have to send to Washington State DOT. We also send it to the Whatcom Council of Governments, our municipal planning organization. And then this information is put into our Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan. So you can see, and I'll clarify, a major event is an accident that has $25,000 or more of property damage. A vehicle is towed or somebody's medically transported. Okay, those are generally the most costly accidents that we experience, and the FTA classifies those as a major event. So you can see on the bottom part here of our performance actuals, we had one more major event than we did compared to our performance targets. I'll also add that our Safety and Security Committee puts together these performance targets, and we discuss those, and that's how we arrive at those. I'll also add that there is no consequences from the FTA from a funding perspective or in any way if we don't achieve the performance targets that we've set for ourselves. They're allowing agencies to kind of do their own thing when it comes to setting performance targets. So it's collisions, major events, assaults on transit workers. We did have 5 in 2025. Those are a combination of physical and non-physical assaults. So a few of those would be verbal assaults with threatening intent, if you will. System reliability is more of a fleet category. That's the number of miles we drive in those particular modes in between mechanical breakdowns. So the higher the number, the better. And we did a little bit better in fixed route, but we dropped a little bit in paratransit rideshare. Any questions on that? Next slide, please. So the number of preventable accidents by mode that we've seen since 2020. Last year, you can see we had 44 total compared to 35 the year before. So we had 9 more accidents. We did not have any incidents in rideshare administration or maintenance that would have been preventable. So slight uptick on the preventable accident side of things. Next slide, please. This is what it cost us when we combined fixed route and paratransit on average for an accident. So you can see that we jumped up quite a bit from the previous year, but it's not completely out of line with 21 and 22 and even 23. Couple of things that affect this number is if you hit a new BMW, it costs you a little bit more than a car like I drive that's held together with duct tape, bail wire. So that has a factor in this preventability, average cost, I guess, if you will. The other thing too, I'd like to point out is that we have our own body shop in-house. We don't send things out to vendors to be repainted, panels being fixed. Kim's team down in Fleet does a fantastic job of taking parts off of surplus vehicles, making fiberglass repairs, which really saves us a lot of money. It's significant. So next slide, please. Just a quick look at the miles driven per year. You can see that in fixed route, we drove a little over 100,000 miles more than the previous year, about 40,000 more in paratransit. So we were out there on the road a little bit more. I don't know if it justifies having 9 more preventable accidents, but we did drive more miles than we did previously. So next slide, please. One of the areas we did not do real well in this year is employee injuries. You can see that we had 14 for the year. These are workers' compensation injuries. And so we're paying L&I assessments on these injuries, right? And it can get very costly. So you can see that the industry average is 4.25 to 4.5. We were well over 5 for the first time in a number of years. This will be one of our initiatives for this year, putting together a light duty pathway program where people are not being sent home. They're actually having to come to work and review videos or do light duty work that we're going to be assigning people to keep our costs down. If we don't address that, L&I assessment fees on an annual basis can go up as much as 25% a year for the next 3 years. So it's not uncommon for some organizations to experience their L&I assessment to double inside of a couple of years. So we're going to really be focusing on that. Next slide, please. So in the last 3 years, we've had 31 workers' compensation claims. Leading cause of injuries are slips, trips, and falls. The most common injuries are shoulder and back injuries. These are from stooping down to secure wheelchairs, mobility devices, those types of things. A lot of strains and sprains. Some of our shoulder issues come from operating our emergency brake on fixed route buses, which are air brakes, and the air builds up in those lines, and it makes it a little more difficult for people to release and set those brakes. We have tried a couple of different tools. Some of the buses now come with an automatic switch that will set it for you, but not all of our buses are equipped with that feature. So that's something that I think future buses will have, a switch that can set the parking brake. So next slide, please. Okay, a couple more statistics here for everybody. We had a 25% increase in our preventable accidents year over year. Employee injuries, we talked about that, was a 55% increase. So we're really going to be focusing on that. Anecdotally, the things that we hit when we have accidents are fixed objects. We hit a lot of parked cars. In paratransit, we back into carports. We hit concrete bollards, which seems odd because we have drivers with a lot of experience, but driving a big vehicle around can be extremely difficult. Traffic volume. Some of the streets we travel are very narrow. It's a tough job. So our drivers overall do a really good job, but we hover in that 70% range where we're just hitting things that aren't moving, which is a lot better than driving around town at 40, having collisions, in my estimation. So, and again, 70% of our preventable accidents this last year had to do with drivers with 0 to 5 years of experience. So we need to make an effort to spend a little more time with those folks. You would think that after 3 or 4 years of driving a big vehicle that things would become easier, and they do, but we really see after that 5-year mark, things get really routine and much easier for our operators. So Next slide, please. Any questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, I hear you about two things. First, a duct tape car, maybe about my old car. But the other thing is I had to drive a 26-foot motorhome through San Francisco once, so I can appreciate that. And it was a rental, so I wasn't very experienced. Right. But my question is, when you doing an investigation on an accident, how do you coordinate with local authorities like prosecutor, courts, law enforcement, et cetera?
That is like things like restitution.
No, I mean, like, if there's an accident, there's obviously a law enforcement mechanism there that they cite the driver or whatever. Are those investigations coordinated?
They are. Oftentimes Bellingham PD will show up to a location in Bellingham. We'll get a exchange of information and a police report from the officer.
So it goes into your reports.
Yeah, that'll go into our file, which will then be filed with the Washington State Transit Insurance Pool, which handles all of our claims actually. And so that's how that would be handled. Sometimes on
a school, or is that?
Yeah, there's 25 agencies that are in the Washington State Transit Insurance Pool. So, and then underinsured motorists, those types of things, we would then work with, possibly it could be the prosecutor's office if there's a charge involved or a traffic violation or reckless driving, those types of things. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I really appreciate this report, Jeff, and as you know, when numbers are close to zero, it does weird things mathematically, like percentage-wise increases are crazy. And you know that. So I mean, I see a lot of these numbers and they're so close to zero that I adjust my expectations with regard to percentages. But on the good side of things that are close to zero is that when anything does rise, it's easy to see. So for example, some of that increase in that one injury rate for drivers, it's small, but it's really easy to see because it's so close to zero when it spikes up. So I like the fact that numbers are so close to zero, and I think they, in a certain sense, make your job easier.
Yeah, I would agree.
All right, further discussion, questions? Thank you, Jeff.
All right, thanks.
Okay, other business? Announcements? We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Everyone.
Great. That's a question.